We have hired the premier young coach in the country, and he's the whole package. These are two statements from Nebraska's former athletic director Bill Moos and Hall of Fame head coach Tom Osborne regarding brand new Nebraska head coach Scott Frost. Frost had just led UCF to its best season in program history in 2017 after finishing 13-0 with a win in the Peach Bowl over the 7th-ranked Auburn Tigers. Following the game, it was announced that Frost would be coming home to coach for his alma mater, Nebraska, after leading the Cornhuskers to a national championship as their quarterback 20 years prior. This was a move that made a lot of sense on paper, as Nebraska's program was in desperate need of a fresh start following the short-lived Mike Riley era that saw Nebraska finish with a record of 19-19 in just 3 short seasons. Nebraska hiring Frost was seen as an absolute steal and a perfect fit to lead Nebraska into its next golden age. After all, he did turn UCF from a winless program in 2015 to an undefeated one in just 2 years. What could go wrong? Nebraska's first 3 seasons under Scott Frost started off pretty shaky, going 12-20 from 2018 to 2020. And to be fair, it was all relatively within reason. Sure, you blew a few leads, lost a few close games, but it was a rebuild after all, and mix in a COVID year with that, and you can realistically expect some level of growing pains along the way. While Frost's tenure didn't start the way anybody wanted it to, there was still a lot of optimism going into 2021. Quarterback Adrian Martinez was going into his 4th year as Nebraska's starting quarterback. Frost had virtually all of his guys in starting roles with the team, and on top of that, Nebraska had been a top 50 team statistically the past 2 seasons and was due for a boost with a number of starters returning. 2021 started off shaky once again for the Cornhuskers, going 2-2 with 2 big wins over Fordham and Buffalo and 2 close losses to conference opponent Illinois and the number 3 ranked team in the country, the Oklahoma Sooners. Despite the 2 losses, Nebraska looked pretty good in their first 4 games of the season and were ready to end their unlucky spell against the 4-0 20th ranked Michigan State Spartans in their second Big Ten matchup of 2021. This game was a slugfest with both teams trading hard-earned touchdowns and field goals back and forth for the first 3 quarters. Quarterback Adrian Martinez would score the go-ahead touchdown late into the 4th quarter to give Nebraska the lead, and the Huskers would be in the driver's seat late into this one, forcing a Spartan 3-and-out. And despite not getting much going on offense, the following drive, Nebraska would remain in the driver's seat, punting back to the Spartans with just under 4 minutes to go.
Reed, Jaden Reed, touchdown, Michigan State.
A botched punt ties this one up for the Spartans. Wow, okay, no biggie. Overtime it is then. Here's your chance at redemption. Just go down and get some points.
Slant, and it's intercepted. It's picked off. Chester Kimbrough. Kimbrough with a convoy in front.
Yikes. Nebraska would narrowly lose another game in overtime to drop them to 2-3 on the season. A tough loss to swallow for Frost and his guys for sure, but understandable considering how good the Spartans were in 2021. And not all hope was lost, because Nebraska picked up a huge 49-point home win over Northwestern the following week to get them back on track and ready for their next home game against the 9th-ranked undefeated Michigan Wolverines. Michigan would take a dominant 19-7 lead deep into the 3rd quarter against the Huskers that saw the Wolverines earn a 90% win probability with just 17 minutes left to play. That was until Adrian Martinez hit running back Ramir Johnson on a wheel route where he would score a 41-yard touchdown to cut the lead to 5. And on the very next drive, Michigan would throw a costly pick to put Nebraska back in plus territory, to which the Huskers capitalized on by scoring yet another touchdown to quickly switch the win probability in favor of the Cornhuskers. This would also be Michigan's first deficit all season long, coming at the hands of Scott Frost Cornhuskers. Michigan would score again in the 4th, met by another Adrian Martinez touchdown to put Nebraska up 29-26 with just 7 minutes remaining, but Nebraska would give up a long run by Hassan Haskins followed by a field goal to tie the game for the Wolverines. With under 3 minutes in the game, Nebraska would have possession in need of just one field goal or a touchdown to go over a top 10 team and set themselves on track for the rest of the season.
The ball is out, and apparently it had not been stopped. Brad Hawkins has it, and he returns it inside the 20-yard line.
Well, make that 2 3-point losses to top 25 Michigan schools in a matter of 3 weeks. But fear not, Nebraska would go on to have its most efficient season of the Scott Frost era, finishing tied for 35th in SP Plus and 28th in FEI rating, which when paired with the 6th highest rated strength of schedule in the country, in layman's terms mean that Nebraska was pretty darn good. As you can see here, when combining FEI and SP Plus ratings, Nebraska finished tied for 30th best team in the country and reasonably should have finished with around 7 to 9 wins. Unfortunately, they would lose their rivalry matchup to the team one place above them, the 17th ranked Iowa Hawkeyes, to round their final record out to 3-9. Wait, what? No, that must be the wrong page. Hold on. Oh yeah, here, let's see. Despite outscoring their FBS opponents outright on the year 283 to 265 with averages of 25.7 points per game and 24.1 points allowed per game, most statistically similar to Auburn, who finished with 25.5 points and 23.6 points allowed per game, and who would finish 2021 with a record of 6-7. Nebraska would finish much worse, going 3-9 overall. What? No, this can't be right. Hold on. Get out of that. Close that. What? What the? Stop. What do you mean? Do not close. Thanks to CFB numbers, CFB data, and CFB Fast R, I get to present to you the 2 greatest graphs in college football history. The first being a graph of every college football team's wins above expectation in the playoff era up to 2021. Which one of these small dots is Nebraska, you might ask? Well, they're actually not even pictured here. If you zoom out just a little bit more, keep going right there. The 2021 Nebraska Cornhuskers are not only the biggest outliers on this list, but they top, or I guess bottom this list, by over a game and a half worse than the next worst team on the list. They were expected to win 7.6 games in 2021 with the stats they provided. They, of course, only won 3. Now let's look at the next list, simply titled Nebraska Should Have Won More Games. Over 5,000 resimulations of the 2021 college football season with the exact same stats each time, and our friendly graph here shows the Cornhuskers finishing with around 6 to 9 wins a majority of the time. Now you might ask, how many of those 5,000 simulations ended with Nebraska going 3-9? Yep, your eyes are not deceiving you. That's just 2 gray dots signifying 2 out of 5,000 simulations in which Nebraska finished with just 3 wins, which does in fact mean that Nebraska had higher odds of winning 11 games in 2021 with the same exact stats than it did winning just 3. Yeah, just go ahead and roll the clip.
Somebody kill me, please! Kill me! I want to die!
15-29 in 4 seasons wasn't gonna cut it, but Nebraska decided to give Scott Frost one last chance with an overhauled coaching staff and an overhauled roster going into 2022. This staff and roster overhaul would see the Cornhuskers bring in a lot of talent and experience to the program, including bringing in coaching veterans and Mark Whipple and Mickey Joseph to fill coordinator and assistant head coaching roles with the team, as well as veteran players like quarterback Casey Thompson, wide receivers Marcus Washington, Washington and Trey Palmer and defender Tommy Hill to bolster the star talent on the roster. With the 2022 season kicking off, Nebraska would face its first opponent in the Northwestern Wildcats in Week 0, one of the only teams that was as bad as Nebraska was in 2021, and Nebraska started off hot with their rejuvenated receiving core taking center stage in the first half of this matchup, but a turnover late in the second quarter would allow the Wildcats to take the lead going into halftime.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Despite collapsing in that half in total Nebraska fashion, the Huskers would come out red hot in the second half, scoring quickly into the third quarter and then forcing a crucial Northwestern turnover to set them up for another big touchdown. And now Nebraska was in excellent shape, up 11 on the Wildcats in this one, and just needed to play good defense and not give the Wildcats any golden opportunity.
Oh, an onside kick. Northwestern is on it.
Okay. Frost decides to go with an onside kick, up 11 points with the lead and all the momentum for some reason. Maybe they can still get a stop, and nope. Northwestern touchdown. There goes your biggest lead of the day in just over a minute. Okay, no big deal. Nebraska still has the lead. Just drive down and get some points, and you should still be fine.
This is intercepted. Cam Mitchell the other way for Northwestern.
Oh my gosh. Okay, boys. Let's get a stop here. Nope. Touchdown Northwestern. I'm gonna go throw up real quick.
Hello, I'm Todd. I'd like to interrupt this brief intermission to tell you to like and subscribe. It's the least you can do for making this idiot sit through this garbage. All right, he's coming back now. Have fun.
God, how much more of this is there? All right, where were we? Oh, look, Nebraska has the ball with 2 minutes to go. Maybe this time they won't do the thing they always do, and nope. I mean, now it's just kind of funny. Nebraska would, of course, lose this game in incredible fashion, 28-31, to a team that would go on to lose, I kid you not, its next 11 games in a row, tying only Colorado for the worst Power 4 team in college football at 1-11. Their only win on the year coming over Scott Frost's Nebraska in Week 0. 2 weeks later, Nebraska would get upset by Georgia Southern at home, 42-45, in a game the Huskers were favored to win by 22.5 points, marking Frost's historic 22nd loss in games that finished by one score or less in 27 attempts. The worst for any head coach in the history of college football. You really can't make this stuff up. Frost would be relieved of his head coaching duties the following day, ending one of the most impossibly awful head coaching tenures in the history of the sport at 16-31. Nebraska would go 3-6 the rest of the way under interim head coach Mickey Joseph, and ironically would win their rivalry matchup against Iowa to end the season, something Frost wasn't able to do once in the 4 seasons prior. Following the season, Nebraska would go on to hire renowned program rebuilder Matt Rule as the team's next head coach, who in just 2 seasons with Nebraska already has almost as many wins as Frost had in his 5 years with the program. And with Nebraska now on an upward trajectory, ending college football's longest bowl drought with a win in the Pinstripe Bowl in 2024, we can now only look back at Scott Frost's tenure with confusion, disgust, and maybe even questioning how a fit that seemed so perfect could go so historically wrong. To which I would answer, I have no clue, dude. Just get me out of here, dude. Oh my gosh, I can't keep doing this, dude. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps us out a lot, and we will see you in the next one.